When I started interviewing for my podcast in Spanish, I first chose my friends and colleagues in Finland. So when I started to do these episodes in English, I also wanted to start with the nearest friends and colleagues. When we know the person and her work, it is easy to do a fresh interview, highlighting the meaningful parts of the work and being relaxed. Hopefully, you could also feel this in this insightful interview. Today, I interview Pia Laulainen, a service designer working for the Ministry of the Interior in Finland. We have worked with Pia together for nearly 5 years, first in the Finnish Immigration Service and later in the Ministry. We have done many projects together and shared the struggles of being the first service designers within an organization. She's a colleague I can always count on. She's there for me to listen, help, and inspire. And especially, she's always ready to roll up her sleeves and make things done. This is part of a series in which I interview designers working in the Finnish public sector, on national or municipal level. 5 years ago, we have created a network of designers working in the public sector, so we know each other from this network. We have a vibrant community of peer learning, and I am super thankful about it. I see this series as an effort to document our work. My name is Mariana Salgado. This is Diseño y Diáspora.
Hello, Mariana. Nice to be here. I'm happy that you invited me. My name is Pia Laulainen. I'm a service designer that works in the Ministry of Interior.
And what did you study?
To become a designer, I studied collaborative design. No, industrial design first, bachelor studies at Aalto University. And then it was collaborative and industrial design at master studies at Aalto University.
But you didn't jump into design immediately, right?
No, yes,
where are you coming
right.
from?
Yeah, I'm so-called occupational shapeshifter. My first profession is a teacher of flute playing, so classical music. And after that, I did some years in a nursing field, nursing children in kindergarten. And after that, I was a self-learned graphic designer working in a newspaper and a publisher for almost 8.5 years. And after that, I went to the Aalto University to study. So I have many lenses like a lot of designers and especially service designers have.
So in a way, you have taught yourself the profession of or the skills of a designer before going to the university.
Yeah, at least, visual designer, yes. It was very strongly there before I studied the design studies.
And what exactly brought you to the design field?
Well, this isn't very glamorous or anything. I was doing my work at the newspaper, and it was kind of, I'm really honest, it was starting to be a bit boring. And because I was self-learned a graphic designer, it wasn't very easy to get new jobs because there's a lot of graphic designers in the field. So I started to think that, okay, now it's time for new studies. And I just Googled things and I saw that service designer and an industrial designer, that sounds interesting. And just, it was like a, how do you say it, in a moment, idea, and I did it. And I was lucky.
Spontaneous idea.
Yes, spontaneous idea, yes.
So, but do you feel like there is something that you have learned from the flute and the musical ears that you brought into the design field?
Yeah, I believe that everything you have done is inside you, and they are sort of like lenses that are on top of each other. So of course it affects my work or the way I do work. Maybe it is like when you do music, there's always some other musicians too. So you know how to collaborate, how to listen, how to react to the others, and that you are not the only star in the band, but there's many that make the whole combination work. Maybe these kind of collaboration skills and how to hear nuances in things. Either it's visual or hearing or action or, yeah.
And listening is a very big part of our work as designers.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So exactly what do you do in the ministry at the moment?
Yeah. Well, my title is service designer, which is really new in the ministry. I've been working there a little over 3 years now. I do a lot of different kind of things. Most of my time, I would say like 50 to 70% goes to a digital service called Tuovi. So it's like traditional service designer working with the digital service. Then I do a lot short projects where I'm more like a consultant, trying to give guidance how to, for example, guide the process of doing research or development or teamwork. And then there are, at the moment, for example, I have a very interesting case. I'm leading a team of 5 people, and we are designing a security simulation for a national security event. That is interesting and new for me.
Perfect. Let's go from the first project you mentioned, Tuovi. What is Tuovi?
Tuovi is a digital service for internal security actors in Finland and all their stakeholders, also internationally. It is it's
a website, a portal.
It's a website portal. It contains like 2 parts. One is like public part, which offers a lot of information about internal security things in Finland, and there are also blogs and podcasts and other news and events, for example. And then there is a part which is maybe the core of the whole service. It's like a community-based sign-in service where you can work without payment. So it's for free for all the users. They can build themselves own workspaces where they can talk and share information and files and share events, so and so.
So the whole idea is to support interaction within people working in the internal security area.
Yes, exactly. It's like a community-based sharing and learning platform, you could say.
Okay, and have you seen any creative ways of using this platform?
Well, that is a tricky question. I cannot peek into those private workspaces, so I really don't know well. And the platform is kind of stiff because it's built on a system which our ministry also using, which is kind of limited. But I think the core using it's enough, like sharing and talking. And of course, we are developing it further to be more collaborative and interactive. But at the moment, we are still heading there.
Okay. And what are the type of activities that you envision it will happen around there?
Oh, yeah, good question. At the moment, we are hoping to build a very good communication system so that they really could be independently discussing about the important topics that they find that are, for example, at the moment in the surface of security things.
Like, for example?
Well, everybody knows the COVID, it's already gone, but like the Ukrainian war or what is happening with the young people at the moment. And, well, yeah, this is the substance things I'm not so into. I'm more into like developing the service. but not the content.
So I understand that you had been having a leading role organizing the development of this tool, right? Of Tuovi as a portal.
Yes. When I started to do this work, I came to a team of, it's 5 of us at the moment at the development team, and there wasn't any designer in that team. So the work was, I would put it that it was a bit fuzzy and not very controlled and not very systematic. So I brought these things, like we started to systemize our own ways of working, like have every week a weekly, and then we have a retrospective workshops where we look backwards and see what we have done well and where we can develop further. And so these kind of organizing our teamwork firstly. And then there was...
And proposing new working practices.
Yes, at the same time. And then like unifying the way we do things. And also one was lacking the customer research. It was done a bit, but there was it wasn't unified. The data we got wasn't like...
analyzed properly.
Yeah, that also, but it wasn't like comparable. When you do research yearly, you should have data that you can compare from the last year's data. So there wasn't any systematic way of doing it. And so the customer insights were also quite thin. So I think I have brought a lot of this customer centricity to this project, and also that we are trying to really follow and prioritize the things we are doing based on the needs of the customers at the moment.
And how was this collaboration with the developers, right? Because you have a team of developers and even like UX designers.
We have a team of 3 organizations. So in the government field, it's so that normally we do not hire the producer, or how do you say, what is...
The developers.
Yes. But there is a middle hand, which is called Valtori. So in our team, there is actually people from Valtori and from the provider side. So our role was a part of like, we are the customers, but we are also the leaders of the development. So it was, we needed to negotiate that what are our roles, and not that I have the feeling that the habit was that the provider was waiting for us to always tell what to do, not to use their own expertise. Like they know better what the platform is, for example,
able to do.
Yes.
Like the capacities of the platform.
Yes. So we negotiated and talked about the roles, and we are so much further now, and everybody is putting their own expertise to the table at the moment, I feel. So
in a way, your role was also to encourage them to bring their own initiatives to the table.
And we are like collaborative, equal partners, that everybody has their own expertise that will enrich the whole thing if we do it together. So, yeah.
So this was the new collaborative practices that...
Yes. And of course, there are like concrete things also. We have got new tools like a mural, which we are working always at the first double diamond thing. Like when we are doing plans and ideas and benchmarking research, we put things into the mural platform. And so we have new tools also that will concretize the work and help us to remember that where we are heading and how did we get there.
So now let's go to the project that really motivates you, and you wanted to talk about this security simulation. What is a security simulation?
Yeah, that is also a new thing for me, and I'm not very sure yet what it's going to be. But security simulation is simulative, it's a collaborative game which is held in the national security event. And it's based on a imaginary place called Rauhala, where happens an accident. And all the participants that come to the event are invited to help the head person what is kunnanjohtaja?
Like the mayor in the city.
Yeah, mayor from Rauhala comes to the event and asks that, can you help us? We have a very big problem in our place because this place is full of internal security actors and experts. Can you please help us to figure out what to do now?
So there is an emergency type of thing.
There is an emergency. There was a truck that fell down, and there was I cannot say the word what was inside, but it went from the ground to the water, which people are drinking in that place. So you can imagine what happened. So stomach flu came to the town, and everybody, all the officials too, are sick. And so what to do? So it will simulate like a real life event, which could happen and which have happened, and then what to do, and how to communicate, and what are the next steps. So it has parts like gamified things. We are going to build a system where we can have points to the participants, and there will be winners. 3 teams will be rewarded. And it's really interesting. It's something else I have never done before.
But you have done also a game, a simulation game in previous event, right?
Yeah, there I was more like an assisting role because it was outernal, not internal.
Outsourced, yes.
Outsourced, yes, from a design company was doing that. Yeah.
But again, I need to understand, how do you play? Like, I go to this seminar conference, like to this event, and I guess you have talks and keynotes, and then you have different tracks with different activities. All the time this game is going on, or when do I play?
Well, I can start from the scratch.
Yes.
So it starts so that week before the event happens,
yes,
all the participants gets an email, and there is a link to a local news, radio news, where they will tell that in Rauhala it has rained already 2 weeks, and the roads are getting, muddy and so on, and now we have these, what is it, ylioppilas?
Like students.
Students are
from the
like
university.
25 new students, and we congratulate them and so and so. So it's a teaser that they will find that there is a Rauhala and it has been raining. That is the basic.
And there is floods.
Story.
Yes.
And so at the day the event starts, there will be like welcoming speech from the Seinäjoki
from the city in which the event
and
is.
The events and so, and then we have an info, which is Rauhala info. And the first plan was that there will be an actor who is acting as a mayor of Rauhala and comes there and asks our help. But actually we're going to do it so that there is going to be the chairman of the event will tell us that he got a phone call from the mayor this morning, and he will show us the voice message from WhatsApp which he got, and they will tell in that WhatsApp message we will find out all the details, that the truck has fell down, what has happened, the people are sick, nobody is taking care of the kindergartens, and so on. So they will get the facts in that point, and we will guide them that we have built a team or an office where people should build their own teams and come to the office to get registered and get instructions to the specific task. And after that, they will do the task themselves. And at the next day, we will have a sort of get together and see what the results are. And we will reward the winners and talk about that. How did it feel to do this simulation?
So the whole idea is that if I'm going to go to the event,
yes.
So if I go there, I have to team up with others in the situation, and then try to solve the situation with them.
Yes, exactly. This is like the second point. Like it's supposed to offer a peek into these simulation things, which are actually really happening, and the civil servants are making those. But also to make people come together and get to know new people, so to network. And also there is a system called Sentimentti, which offers your population information, and that is part of that simulation, how we are telling what kind of people, for example, live in Rauhala. And so there is like 3 different parts that are connecting together. We are also advertising the sentiment system at the same moment. I'm sorry, this is very fashy, but I hope you get the basic idea.
No, but I also think because we always talk within our, we always talk in Finnish when we discuss, then you see the other and then the Finnish word comes to your mind before the English one.
Yes.
This is something we are here practicing.
Yes.
So the whole idea is that through this game, I get to know new people, but I also exchange with them kind of strategies for solving problems.
Yes, and learn how to work, in a multi-occupational teams also, because we all have our own lenses to deal with the things and see the problems in different perspectives. So that what is the result of working together? What kind of things? And there is an extra. It's not just a real life kind of simulation, because I don't think they will have points and give credits. But I think we are going to have if the solution is somehow innovative or imaginary or something, they will get extra points, I think. So we're trying to create the creativity also through this. Hopefully.
Super nice. And it's also important that when you go to one of these events, you are not always talking with the same people, with the usual suspects you know already from before, but you get to know new ones and from other organizations.
Yeah.
This interview is part of the list D&D in English, Finlandia y Diseño, Gobierno y Diseño, y Seguridad y Diseño. Pia explained to us how her work as service designer brought consistency in the way user research was done in relation to a digital portal. Part of the development work of a digital service is to follow user needs over the years, in order to be able to prioritize new features or fix already existing ones. This is something that happens all the time and is a constant reminder that at the end all our work is for the ones that will benefit and use the portal, the service, the public policy, or whatever we are creating. This is why consistency is key. We need to be able to compare results and research the impact of the decisions we take, and there is no other way than to do it over a long period of time. Many of my colleagues in the university, such as Andrea Botero and Joanna Sat-Sulonen, they have previously been interviewed for this podcast, have written about the importance of the long-term relationships with the communities we are designing for. Following a project for a long time gave us the opportunity to better understand the project, the user community, and its changing context. Now let's continue listening to Pia, who has a lot more to tell us. We have been working together from the Finnish Immigration Service. We both were hired as part of Inland Design, and Inland Design has been like an innovation and design laboratory that was created within the Finnish Immigration Service, and now we have been working together, but it was mainly you, I guess, developing how Inland is going to be in the future, right? So at some moment, we were 5 designers working there, and then we have had the chance to move to the ministry, and there we were only 2 of us. And then in a moment, we have decided to convert like a network of designers, in an informal network of designers that we had, into this laboratory. So you have been working in this transformation. How do we go from a network of designers towards this laboratory idea? Who are the ones participating in this network?
Okay. Anybody who works under the branch of the Ministry of Interior are welcome to our unofficial network. So anybody who is working with the services or development itself or is interested about design or service design, anybody is welcome.
But something particular that happened is that many of them, they have studied design, but have not have a position with a title of designer there, right?
Yes, that is true. And also, well, it is about half of our members has studied some design, service design.
So in a way, I see that the network is the possibility to legitimize their design work. How do you see it?
Yes, definitely. And when you learn, well, I think that I have had the same problem. Even though I'm a designer, I'm educated designer, and I have the title, the legitimation or mandate to work is also, you need to have, besides those designer skills, you need to know how to argue the design ways of doing things, because it's new in our branch, and the ways of working they are pretty much different than our ways of working. So also, besides of just getting these tools and methods and the skills of designer, we need to have a understanding how to change the mandate and how to change the culture in our branch to work differently. And the network has, in that way, I think, because it's peer-to-peer network, support network, and we are always, when we are showcasing our projects, for example, we are also telling what was good, what we could do differently, and how to affect the other people also around us. So in that way, it's a way of strengthening our other skills than designer skills, like to get the mandate. Yes, exactly. For design.
What is the network doing at the moment?
At the moment, we are meeting once per month, and there are different themes with our meetings. We are meeting remotely, of course, because there's many of us working in other places than in Helsinki. So like last Friday, we had a meeting and we had 2 showcases about the topic was about how to design crises. So there was one tool presentation, how to use a security canvas, which is actually based on the business design model, but it was personalized for the security manners. And then there was a case presentation about immigration services that was covering the topic of what to do with the, how do you say, when the amount of applications for asylum seekers has grown big, how to shorten them. And there was a team showing their own work.
Would you say that at the moment this network, what it's basically doing is focusing on peer learning?
Yes, definitely. But sometimes also we are doing more like an overall design education too. But peer learning, yes, we are teaching ourselves. Yes.
Well, it's like any other network, a possibility to exchange, right?
Yes.
That in a way, as I see that most of your work goes into this line of designing how people interact, right? Like in Tuovi, you have like in this digital service that you are doing is about people interaction and promoting that people get to work from different organizations together in the same portal. Then in the security simulation is about promoting this network. How do you see it?
Yeah, actually, when you say it that way, yeah, I can see the point. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Like facilitating designing infrastructures to support interaction. in this area. Of course, you can probably in the future translate that to other areas, but I see that the focus is pretty much in designing these collaboration structures or these collaboration systems.
Yes, you're very right. And it's nice that you see these things like from the side, so you see much more clear. But sometimes for us designers, I feel that it's too like obvious that we work collaboratively and we understand that the meanings of having different perspectives. So I sometimes get blind myself to understand, that is actually what we are always doing.
Well, but I also think it has to be with our education, that in design education, you are always working in teams.
Yes.
Like we came back to the beginning of this interview when we were talking about how the musical education you have brought you the listening as part of your practice. So let's go to the future. What is the change you want to see on the Finnish government?
I wish. First of all, the word service design is sometimes tricky for me because I feel like it's the term has got such a vibe that we are like a magic makers, which isn't true. It's a way of doing things, which it's a way of seeing things. So I would say that I imagine that in the future this design is like an internal part of our working culture. We don't even have to talk about service design or designers anymore, but we have understood the human-centric ways of doing things and utilizing all the best methods and tools from the design field, that public servants would be familiarized with this kind of teamwork and different perspectives. And
if it is like that, then what are we going to do, we designers? What would be the next step where
we will be the leaders of doing it? And it's a slow process, I know. Even though I've been working 3 years with Tuovi team, I think that we are now in a phase that we could start to flourish. Yeah, it takes time, and it needs a hands-on practice, like concrete doings, to understand what we are doing and how to do it and what are the benefits of doing it in designer way. So I would say that I imagine that these skills and thoughts and kind of like design thinking is already there in every public servant. And of course, there needs to be designers too, like professional designers leading this work. And hopefully there would be many for example, in our ministry, like it's 2 of us now. I hope there would be in every unit or department their own, and they would have system that it's the future is guaranteed. Like at the moment, it's weird. Well, but I can see the difference is happening already. There's a lot of public organizations that are hiring, and they are permanent jobs. They're having a permanent jobs.
Yes, and in certain fields, like in the financial area, for example, there is many banks that they have already big teams of designers where they have, for example, 80 designers working together. But in the public sector, we have seldom these possibilities of building together big teams that also could give other dimensions to the work, the design work.
Private sector has been ahead of us a long time, but there is like a city of Helsinki, Kela. There's a lot of good examples that these things are happening already, but there's a lot to fix.
Kela is the social services in Finland. So what is inspiring you at the moment? What are you reading, watching, listening that inspired your work?
Oh, okay. At the moment, spring is inspiring me. I'm hoping it's coming. Well, at the moment, at my workplace, I'm inspired that I see the fruits of our work in our ministry, at least in our unit, that people are really asking each other's to opinions about their own projects and guidance and comments to their work, which is really inspiring for me, because I see that is a kind of secondary results of our work, that they understand that the main wisdom isn't only in my head, but it's also in the other's head, that you might have much better solution if you ask other people. So this collaborative culture that is growing in our unit, it's inspiring. I like that a lot.
But are you reading, watching, listening something?
Oh, actually, there is a new podcast I found out last week. I'm very bad with names. I should have been. It's about in Finnish. It's about service design. There's maybe 25 season series. Sections, what are they called?
Episodes,
already? Episodes, yeah. And it brings very different kind of perspectives to service design. It's like these pioneers of Finnish service design work, and then there is like organizational cases, all kind of that. I have started to listen. It's really interesting.
In Finnish?
Yeah, in Finnish. I do most things in Finnish. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you a lot for the interview.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Pia told us about the game she's designing for a national event on internal security in Seinäjoki. Seinäjoki, which means wall river, is a city located in south of Ostrobothnia in Finland, 350 kilometers from where we live in Helsinki. I will participate in this event as we were invited to present the Dialogues on Immigration, a project that we recently finished. So I will have the chance to play the game. Really looking forward to it. I have always been interested in simulations and dramatizations, especially when they are done with a design perspective or as part of the design project. In many previous interviews, we have talked about them and how they could be part of a design process. I remember just a few, but for the ones interested in the topic, this might be useful. In episode 237, Frederick van Amstel tells us about the use of theatre of the oppressed used in relation to the design of technology for communities. In episode 279, Marcela Bruckmann from the Basque Center for Climate Change talks about the use of dramatizations for making decisions on public policies. In the development of services, dramatizations, games, and simulations have been useful. We will continue exploring this topic with other guests in the future, tracing links within research and development projects with a design perspective done around the world in a multilingual way. I believe that we bring more nuances and richness to the design space once we are not working in only one language. This is why Diseño Diaspora is now publishing in Spanish, Portuguese, and English. As always, the music of this podcast is by Antonio Zimmerman, sound design is by Andy Fecci. This podcast is published with Creative Commons license with attributions. This podcast has been recorded in Helsinki Open Waves, an audio studio in Kaisa Cultural Center, part of the Helsinki city. Kaisa is a cultural center that promotes the development of Helsinki into a diverse city by means of the arts and culture. This was Diseño y Diaspora podcast. You can follow us in our social media channels in YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter, or visit our website. Remember to recommend us and recommend our books. Let's listen to the next one.